Janet McCoy, Assistant Professor of Public Relations at Morehead State University. One of the things that I learned is that the privilege of education brings with it the responsibility to serve. And so that is something I just want to ingrain in my students, because so many of our students are first generation, that education is a privilege and you need to give back to the community. Well, for me, it's really important because as a faculty member, it's very easy to get stale and not keep up with skills. So by working with nonprofit organizations and working on their public relations campaigns and getting my students involved also, it's a way for me to keep my skills updated and to know that I'm giving back what I know. This is an amazing area in that because we don't have a united way, because we aren't a big area, that really those of us who are here all need to pitch in and do for each other what sometimes in bigger cities, larger organizations would do for us. So it's absolutely critical that we're all part of the community and give back. Well, the very first project that I did came with the Girl Scouts, only because they happened to be the only nonprofit I knew in the area, because they were next to my real estate agent when we moved to Morehead, and we're looking for a house. But it's a small community, and very quickly my students introduced me to the variety of options that are out there. I think one of the reflections that I still go back to was when we were working with the Adult Learning Center, and we were doing a family literacy project where we got a grant from Phi Kappa Phi and for $5,000, and we delivered books to every preschool child in Rowan County in Morehead. And one of the students commented, and this has been a project that's gone on for several years, and said it was so good to be part of something and be the very first to do something. Some of the other reflections that students do are about how they grow as people, and it doesn't necessarily, when we're doing this kind of work, we're dealing with humans. It's messy in many ways. Sometimes the project isn't always as successful as we would like, but what's important is that we all learn from the process, and that's where the reflection comes in. Even if the project doesn't meet the stated goals at the beginning, as long as everybody learns from the process. And it's not just the students reflecting, it's the faculty reflecting on how the information shared, it's the representatives from the nonprofit reflecting about what we can all do to make it a better experience so everybody can learn from it.
My name is Adrienne Chapp. I am a junior history major here at Morehead State University. I came to Morehead 2 years ago, and I joined student government immediately. This past year I was elected as Vice President for campus involvement, and so I've been doing a lot of service projects to do that. I really like seeing how it directly makes an impact, knowing that you're putting in time and labor, and you're not only helping yourself, but you're benefiting everyone in the community through your actions. I could spend my Saturdays going home and watching basketball games, but after that it just feels like a wasted weekend. A lot of time, attention is given to larger universities and that sort of thing. And so when we go to the Rally for Higher Education and we're asking for money for the legislation to look at us as to how important we are, if we can show them this is how we're giving back to the community, these are the things we're involved with, this is how we've helped, it just gives us more concrete evidence of how important these projects are and how important the university is. And I think overall, if we can build a stronger relationship between the university and the community, everyone will be so much happier.
The Gateway House Homeless Shelter, we serve a 6-county area. We receive federal grants and state grants as well as private donations. We're a 22-bed facility that serves those 6 counties. We also have an off-site housing program where we can assist individuals who have been through the shelter but have moved on to private housing. We can assist them for up to 24 months with rent and utility assistance. But we're relatively new. We've only been here 18 years, which some organizations have been around a lot longer. Part of it is our location, which even though we're right in town, we're basically hidden, which is partly by design. We don't want to announce it here as the homeless shelter. And part of it too, I think there is a segment of our population that would prefer to think that homelessness does not exist in rural areas. So if it's not there, we don't have to deal with it. The issues, and I've been in this kind of work for 18 years now, urban homelessness seems to get all the attention, therefore a lot of the dollars. When you drive through a big city and you see people, sleeping under bridges, in boxes, it's very visible, it's very much in your face. Rural homelessness tends to be more of the families doubling or tripling up, living in substandard housing. That's not so much in people's face. So when we go to the state and we're arguing for the reality of rural homelessness, we're saying, no, you're not going to see people in Morehead necessarily sleeping under bridges or in cardboard boxes. It has a very different face. So I would say, first of all, just to raise awareness. And then the second part of that, for any nonprofit, raising funds to go along with that. I think primarily because no one organization can combat homelessness, hunger, or poverty by themselves. Whether that's the micro level of actually assisting families every day, or on the macro level where we're actually on the state level trying to go to politicians and say, listen, we need ongoing funding for this program, our region needs funding. The more voices we have, the better chance we have of being heard. We have a very small but very dedicated staff. I'm very proud. I've been there about less than a year now. I've been there 10 months. We have a very dedicated core of volunteers as well, who are very much online with our mission, very excited about the work we do. And especially for the younger people, there's a lot of idealism and enthusiasm, which I love. That just, for the rest of us who've been at this a while, that really feeds me. So it's just a huge blessing to us to have Morehead State here. The social work students, the fraternities and sororities, I'm not exaggerating when I say we really couldn't continue to do what we do without that kind of support. Volunteers are absolutely essential to the operation we run.
I'm Bob Greninger, and I'm a retired professor from Morehead State University. I came here over 20 years ago to chair the Department of Health, Physical Ed, and Recreation at that time, now it's Sports Science. Retired in 2005 and picked up some of my hobbies and interest as volunteer recreational pursuits and volunteer activities. And among those, I've been doing the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute as a curriculum chair since 2007. I've been doing the National Alliance on Mental Illness Morehead chapter as a vice president for several years. I'm doing various projects through the Morehead United Methodist Church. And then as a project that started from the United Methodist Church as a Good Steward Sunday school class, Sunday afternoons, we, Greg Dyke, Ezra Dyke, Mark Miner, and various others, formed a nonprofit called Sustainable Morehead Incorporated. And we started in about December of 2009. And our primary mission is education, to educate people about the environment, about being better stewards of the environment, about sustainable living. And we have various demonstration projects as well as lectures, programs related to that primary mission. Primary engagement was with reforestation. Every person emits, if they're good stewards, 50 tons of CO2 into the atmosphere, not personally, but through their lifestyle, driving vehicles, heating their homes, a large part of it, et cetera, et cetera. So we said, well, okay, for 50 tons, 50 trees per person per year. So the first year, we planted about 5,000 trees as a church project primarily. Then the second year, 3,500, and this year so far 1,000, but we're looking towards about 3,500. I think we're all aware that obesity is a problem, smoking is a problem, driving our cars because we're too lazy to get off our duffs and walk a little bit. Those make a huge impact on the environment and reduce our planet's ability to sustain us as human beings. We're not doing nearly our share here in Morehead and Round County. We have a lot of work to do.
My name is Ezra, and I'm an economics major at the present. I actually transferred here from EKU, and while there, I kind of realized that I should stop complaining and start doing. And Morehead is kind of where that took shape. Well, I come from a pretty active family in the nonprofit sector, and so growing up with a family that put a lot of focus on helping each other out, focusing on building community and relationships and community engagement, such as the Center for Regional Engagement does, is just something that should be done in my mind. It's nothing new. So the first thing I did is start a curbside recycling program, nonprofit, just to test the support within the community for such a service. And it was positive. It paid for itself, and we were able to buy a trailer and so on. And then because of that success, we were able to pass it off to a recent graduate who took it over for a few months. He then went to grad school in North Carolina and left it. But so it stagnated for a while, but it's now up and running again. And once we get to a break-even point in customer base, then it'll pay for itself, and we're going to hand it over to the Community Recycling Center. So through the Center for Regional Engagement, we did a project where we purchased materials, supplies, and informational booklets, and basically a self-starter kit for getting gardens going in people's backyards. And we focused on people who were most susceptible to price increases at the market or health problems due to bad food. So we did it at the retirement community and subsidized housing units, as well as individual residences' backyards. And so as a result of that, we have effectively 2 new community gardens, one at the retirement village, one at the subsidized housing village units, and also backyards around town.
My name is Nathina Bush, and I am an associate faculty member in the Department of Nursing, and this is my 7th year at Morehead. And for the past 5 years, I've been involved with an engagement project. It's called Camp Smile. Other project that I'm involved with is mission trips to Haiti, and this started last year after the earthquake. And so we took 2 teams last summer to Haiti and provided medical care to around 1,000 Haitians, and actually have another group going leaving tomorrow for a spring break trip to Haiti, and then we have 2 planned trips for the summer. I feel that the students, nursing students particularly, when we arrived last summer, there was mass destruction, mass chaos still, and so many medical needs. So from the medical perspective, they saw things that they will never ever see here in the United States. I mean, I've been a nurse 15 years, and I saw things that I had never seen, only things that you read about. And so, the Morehead students, gained so much from that. They also gained insight into a community that, despite devastation and significant loss everywhere you look, these people are so hopeful, and they continue to smile. And the children, all that they want is a hug or for you to hold their hand. And so I feel that the students really benefited from that. You are learning when you are serving. And I am a profession, I'm from a profession that's a service profession. So curricularly in the nursing department, service is everywhere. But I feel that as Morehead State students, going out and actually helping, whether it's locally at a senior center here in Morehead or in another country, there's so many things that we can do to give back. It was hard. It was hard work. First of all, the temperatures were around 110. The students had to ride in the back of cattle trucks. The terrain is very rough. And our typical day was from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I never heard a complaint, not one complaint. And they were so accepting of the children. They were so accepting of the children. They, you know, continually were holding kids, hugging kids, trying to help children. And you know, there were events where we had to travel 6 hours one way to go to orphanages where literally the children are starving to death. And to see our students, Morehead students, just get out and just take to those children and provide food and medical care to these kids that are literally starving. For me, that was a proud moment, you know, to see these students be so engaged with these orphans that are starving. You know, it's important for all of us to serve, you know, and when you're serving, that's what I tell my students, and when we do service projects, they realize this. But, you know, just with the students that went to Haiti, you know, we went there to help these people. But we gained so much more from that experience. So, you know, it's much better to give than to receive.